Get a little of that in your stomach and you'll have the strength to make it down to the village. The man now makes his living as master of the tea house by the waterfall. Of course, pilgrims undergoing austerities carry no money with them, but the man is not expecting to become rich doing this work. For bodies chilled by long hours of pounding under the waterfall, he provides a warming fire, food and drink, and sometimes even money to tide them over when they first go down to the village. Payment can be made at any time. The men can bring him the money after they have started to take in earnings again from jobs they find in the secular world. He sets no date for repayment, he takes no IOUs, he says he is fine with that. Aren't there some who don't pay at all, Kaim asks. Of course there are, the man says matter-of-factly, but I think of my running this tea house as another kind of discipline for myself. Another kind of discipline? That's right. The stones of heaven will accept only the strongest pilgrims, the ones unperturbed by anything. The role I want to play is to accept the ones who were broken by the stones of heaven, the weak human beings. I want to go on accepting the weakest of the weak, the kind who not only succumb to the stones of heaven, but who even fail to pay for their food and drink afterwards. That is your kind of discipline? Exactly. It makes for a hard living, that's for sure. I thought I was prepared to deal with cheats and weaklings, but there are a lot more of those than I ever bargained for, he declares with a hearty laugh. But then he quickly turns serious and says, to tell you the truth, I think of this less as a form of discipline than as a way to get even. Get even? With whom? With those gods or whatever they are that keep hurling down their stones of heaven. Human beings are weak, shockingly so, in the eyes of a god. But I think, and this is not just because of what happened to me, that being weak is the best thing about human beings. Weakness can make us cunning, but it can also make us kind. Weakness can torment us, but it can just as easily be our salvation. Don't you see? If the gods are hurling down their stones of heaven just to make people aware of their own weakness, just to make us savour our own powerlessness, then I'd just as soon drop my trousers and moon them. I'll slap my bare butt and say to them, I'm not like you, I'm going to punish human beings for being weak. I'm not going to punish humans for being weak. I accept them for what they are, weakness and all. The man feeds a new piece of kindling to the fire and says with a shy shrug, I guess I got carried away. Kaim smiles and shakes his head as if to say, not at all. Tell me though, the man goes on, I see you're a traveller, but you don't seem to be a pilgrim. You're right, I'm not. Kaim says, I was trying to cross over the pass and took the wrong road. Well then, as long as you are here, why not give the stones of heaven a try? There'll be something to talk about. No thanks, Kaim says, smiling. What's the matter? Afraid they're going to show you whatever it is that shakes you up? The man smiles and nods. Can't say I blame you, no. Though, the man is mistaken about Kaim. He is not the least bit afraid of such a thing. What scares him is the opposite prospect. That of not being shaken up, of encountering in himself a person unmoved by anything at all. Anyway, it would be suicide to jump into the waterfall without preparation. How's that? It's freezing cold for one thing. There's even colder water bubbling up from a spring in the basin. Even the most well-conditioned person has to be careful and take time to accustom himself to the low temperature. If you go in all at once, it can stop your heart. The man jerks his chin in the direction of the falls as if to say, look at them. Two new pilgrims are preparing themselves for the challenge of the stones of heaven. The men appear to be brothers. The older one kneels at the edge of the basin, splashing himself and massaging the cold water into his skin from foot to heart level. The younger brother is too impatient for that. He wants to jump right under the falls. The elder brother cautions him and takes all the time he needs to accustom himself to the water's coldness. He exudes the quiet power of one who has withstood the most rigorous training. Aha! The tea house owner says to Kaim, smiling. We are in for a rare privilege. I think we are about to see the first successful attempt in a long while. You can tell? Kaim asks. You can if you spent as much time here as I have. The winners and losers are decided before the men ever step under the falls. Having completed his meticulous preparations, the elder brother enters the basin. Even then the steps he takes are slow and cautious. The younger brother follows him in, kicking up a spray with every step. The younger one is hopeless, says the man with a sigh, adding another stick of kindling to the fire. I'd better get the liquor ready now, he mutters to himself. The brothers stand side by side beneath the pounding waterfall. The stones of heaven rain down upon them. As the men predicted, the elderly brother, utterly calm, stands up to the onslaught of images sent by the stones of heaven. Also, as the man predicted, the younger brother yields to the stones of heaven and is beaten down into the basin of the waterfall. But then, something happens that goes far beyond what the man predicted. Writhing in agony, oh no, oh no. Writhing in agony, the younger brother bobs helplessly in the basin, unable to raise himself. He is drowning. He tears... Ah, no. He tears at his own chest. His heart is failing. He was not fully prepared to enter the icy water. Help me, brother, please. But the elder brother doesn't move. He remains under the waterfall in total concentration. Hey, what are you doing there? Hurry up and help him, the man yells, but the eldest brother's expression remains unchanged. He never flinches. He's drowning. You can't just leave him like that. He'll die. The elder brother never moves. He grits his teeth, keeps his eyes clamped shut, and shows no signs... shows no sign of moving out from under the waterfall, as if to declare, this is it, this is the final test of the stones of heaven. The man screams at him, "You idiot," and dives into the roiling basin in a rash effort to help the younger brother. For the moment, his untrained body hits the frigid water. The shock of it seizes his heart. Still, he reaches out towards the drowning brother who is sinking beneath the surface. A great shudder goes through him, and with an enormous groan, he takes hold of the young man's wrist and pulls his limp body towards him. He tries to return to the shore, but his strength gives out, and he falls back into the water. So the old man died. Next it is Kaim's turn to dive into the basin beneath the falls. He takes hold of the two unconscious men and drags them towards the shore. The stones of heaven pour down on Kaim, and he is assaulted by one vision after another. Battlefields, seen from his wanderings, shooting stars, a climbing and sinking sun, raging winds, and countless deaths of those he has come to know on the road of his all-too-long life. "It will do you no good," he silently declares to the gods, hurling the stones of heaven at him. "My heart remains unmoved. I have lived through a reality far crueler than any phantom you can show me. Whether or not his life is a sign of his strength, he does not know. He will not boast of it, nor will he tell the tale to others. He has, however, lived it, that much is certain. He has lived it through the years." Kaim climbs onto the shore and lays the limp bodies of the tea house master and the younger brother beside the fire. As he warms himself, he thinks, the gods who hurl the stones of heaven are inferior gods. If they could truly see into everything, they would never have been foolish enough to show Kaim scenes from his past. Pardon me. Double pardon me. For what would disturb him most of all would be the unwelcome sight of moments from his own limitless future. And if they were to ask him one simple question, "For what purpose were you born?" his knees would buckle in an instant. The first to regain consciousness is the young pilgrim. The tea house master's condition is critical. Kaim attempts to warm him and massage his clenched heart have little effect. Oh dear. Pull yourself together now. Look, we've got a fire here. The fire you built. Let it warm you. Kaim shouts into his ear until the man finally manages to force his eyes open a crack and move his purple lips. Is he... alright? Sure, he's fine. Don't worry. Oh, good. Good. Pull yourself together, man. Tell me, though. Is strength the same as coldness? Never mind, stop talking. Because if that is true, if strength is coldness, I don't want any part of it. The man gives Kaim a faint smile, and closes his eyes. He will never open them again. Human beings are weak and fragile. All it takes for a person to die is for a fist-sized organ to stop beating. Human kindness, on the other hand, may derive from everyone's profound awareness of the fragility of life. Facing the tea house master's lifeless corpse, the younger brother hangs his head and cries. This weak man, defeated by the stones of heaven, sheds heartfelt tears for the man who saved his life. His strong elder brother, meanwhile, is still being pounded by the waterfall. unfazed by the stones of heaven. Surely his strength will be recognized by the gods, and he will bring his ascetic training to perfect completion. Still, Kaim finds the tear-stained face of the younger brother beautiful in a way the stronger elder brothers can never be, and he wishes that he himself could be moved like the younger man. There was an unmatched nobility in the last smile of the tea-house master, who gave up his life to save that of a complete stranger. Kaim wishes that he too could experience such feelings. And what of my own face? Living through 1,000 years of life is not strength. Yet burdened with a life he cannot lose, will Kaim ever be able to change weakness into kindness? This he cannot tell. He can only live unknowing. He can walk on, he can only continue his journey. Kaim looks at his reflection in the basin of the waterfall. On the water's heaving surface he sees the trembling face of a lonely wanderer. Wow. Oh, it's the music, man. So sad. Alright, one left, and it's in the medical tent. Da-da-da-da! There we go. Here it is. Oh, it hurts. Mom said I'd get better if I take my medicine, but it still hurts. Okay. Kaim recalls a memory that was locked deep within his heart. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Still can't believe how long some of these are. Like, they go on for 15 to 20 minutes. It's just non-stop reading. Then again, I probably fuck up, so... you know, there's that. Signpost. I'll be gone soon, Henri said. So it makes no difference, a life like this. She smiles with some effort, puts a grey tablet on her tongue, and swallows it. Use or possession of this drug by ordinary people is prohibited by law and strictly controlled. The person taking it feels as if every bone in his or her body is melting. All the anxieties and cares of life vanish as the individual wanders in the space between languor, I have no idea, and pleasure. Why don't you take one too? Henri pulls another tablet from her leather pouch and holds it out to Kaim, who is standing by her bed. Coward, she says with a grim smile, when he shakes his head in silence, and then she places the second tablet on her tongue. How many pills does that make today, Kaim asks. I forget. With empty eyes, Henri stares into space and sighs. This is an addiction. A serious one. Ooh, not good. How do you feel? He asks. Not bad, she says. Very happy. She gives him a smile. It is deeper and softer than her earlier smile, though maybe too deep and too soft. It appears to be a smile of ultimate bliss, but for that very reason, it also has a frightening quality that sends chills up his spine. The drug is called Signpost. This is not its formal designation, of course. People started calling it that as a secret code word to avoid prosecution, and the term caught on. Signpost is, however, the single most appropriate name for this drug. Each pill takes the user one step farther down the road, and when withdrawal symptoms strike, the person rushes to take the next pill, thereby advancing yet another step. Farther and farther and farther. The road marked by this signpost is a soothing one, entirely free of pain or suffering. At the end of the road, however, there waits only death. The use and possession of signpost is so strictly prohibited because it is seen as an invitation to gradual suicide. Oh. How many more pills, I wonder? Henri mutters, stretching her emaciated body full length of the bed, on the bed. It is a question that Kaim cannot answer. He knows only that she is nearing the end of her signpost journey. It's for this that Kaim has been called to the hospital, which is a facility for people on the verge of death. I have no regrets, Henri says. None at all. This way I can die pleasantly, quietly, like going to sleep. Her empty eyes are fixed on Kaim, but they seem to register nothing. I'll be fine. She reaches into the leather pouch again. That's the third pill. You probably shouldn't do that, Kaim says. I'm telling you, I'm fine, she says, laughing weakly. and placing a third signpost in her mouth. She closes her eyes. Her sunken eye sockets harbour dark shadows. Kaim settles himself into the chair by her bed. He awaits for her to say more, but she seems to have fallen asleep.